and I'm going to count us in and get us started and hopefully read through this. Fingers crossed. So 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with Rhonda Salvestrini. The best, wait a second. Okay, listen, this is Jana, and I'm going to try this again. Hopefully we'll have a quiet episode. So 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with Rhonda Salvestrini. The best writing happens when you have nothing to lose, when you're in the zone and writing bravely and fearlessly. As a communications expert and writing coach, Rhonda Salvestrini is on a mission to help writers overcome the overwhelm that writing creates and find confidence in their voice as an authority, be inspired to write bravely and fearlessly, and connect with their audience through authenticity. With 25 years of experience, a professional writer, she's helped aspiring writers publish their story, longtime authors complete their memoirs, entrepreneurs reach new clients, and TEDx speakers bring audiences to their feet. Through one-on-one coaching, she guides writers through their stuck frustration and self-doubt, transforming their messy and disorganized content into beautifully written stories that resonate with audiences. She helps writers feel inspired to share their message with the world. And I'm so excited to have all of my listeners be able to have this series of Let's Write with Rhonda Salvestrini, where she's going to talk to us all about writing our stories and getting our words on paper and out to the world. So thank you so much for doing this, Rhonda.
Thank you, Jana. This is so exciting. I'm so excited to really help educate your audience on the importance of content for their business and how powerful it is. And it's such a great way to reach their audience.
I know I follow you a lot on social media because I'm like a kind of a stalker fan. But one of the things you say all the time is words really matter, right? And when we're talking about our brand, they should matter to us and how we present them to the world, but we should always be authentic too. And it's kind of like when you have a baby, right? When you get pregnant, you're going around writing a million different times their name, what it's going to be like, right? Because those words matter, they have meaning. And then that child's stuck with that name.
Stuck with it, right.
Right. When you put out into social media, out onto the internet, you're stuck with that for a really long time. So you want to make those words matter.
Right. And you want to understand the effect that those words have on people. So you want to think about that when you're putting your words out on to a page, be it a digital one. You're really branding your voice. You're giving your brand a voice, excuse me. That's really what you want to do. And you want that voice to be louder than a whisper. You want it to be a roar, but you want it to be intentional. And you want your words to really make a difference to your audience.
So I know in this series, we're going to cover about blogging and what content should look like. And I want everyone to know that I met Rhonda a while ago, and she's actually working with me, coaching me on my next book. And let me tell you, it is day and night more meaningful to not only me, but when I'm reading it, I know I'm getting it. And she's opened that up for me.
Thank you. And you really want to do that for your audience as well. You want to be that vessel. You want to educate them. You want to provide value, and you really want them to feel something when they read your words. So what you put out is so much more than just fluff. It has to have substance behind it. It needs to have context. Otherwise, there's no connection that you're trying to build. You're not engaging your audience in any way. You're just giving them something fun to read.
So what are some of the first things that you would suggest for people who are blogging? And by the way, I don't know if you guys know the background of blogging, but it is one evergreen. So if I go in and you have blogged on Brussels sprouts and how delicious they are, and you've got recipes, and I blog what are Brussels sprouts all about, your blog is going to come back to me years from now. It's out there, it's evergreen, and it draws people back to you. So what would their intention be when they're blogging, and how would they make that happen?
Right. The power of content is so incredible when it comes to driving organic traffic to your business, to finding that organic audience, just engaging with people. Blogging is one of the most pivotal ways to reach an audience. It's really how you can demonstrate your authenticity and your expertise, but really connect with your audience on a very conversational level. It's much more relatable when you're blogging. So one of the first things you want to do is really think about the different ways you want to blog. What information do you want to present to your audience? What matters to you most in your business? And then create maybe a series of blogs. But let's back up a little bit, because you want to make sure that your information is timely. You want to make sure that the information you're putting out resonates with your audience. So what matters to them right now is what you want to write about. You want to solve their pain points through your expertise. You want to resolve their challenges, and you want to answer their questions before they're asking them. So be a step ahead of them. So when they do ask those questions, your content comes up to them automatically, organically, driving them to your website. And it will become this beautiful cycle where they will always come back to you because you are driving that value and you are educating them. So look at topics that really resonate with them. Find out how many times you want to blog during the month, because you could create one long blog that's maybe 3,000 or 5,000 words and then repurpose it throughout the month or even throughout a couple of months. But you want to make sure that you're not producing superficial content. You want it to be of substance. So more than 2,000 words, less than 10,000 words, but you want it to be of substance. Think about some topics over the next 3 months that you want to write about and start filling in the gaps. Don't feel like you have to sit down and write one blog post all at once, because that will just feel overwhelming. So set up some outlines for a couple of different blogs and start working on each one, either over a couple of days, or maybe you choose one in 1 week and one in another week, but just make sure that you're filling that content gas tank, if you will, because you need to feed that cycle for your business. And blogging is one of the best ways to do that. So just know that have a plan in mind, have a calendar in mind, a schedule of topics that you want to talk about, so that you can start generating that content for your audience without feeling stressful about it, and make sure that you're really speaking to them as that key expert and thought leader.
So I know for SEOs that when you're doing a blog, anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 words is a really good, comfortable place. And they say that you should not have more than 150 words to 200 words in each paragraph, so that you can be making those breaks with visual, because people read those, they're like little blurbs, right? And they will read the entirety of it. And one of the other things is everything should lead back to you. So you want to hyperlink back to other articles you've written, or your website, or social media, or a free offer that you might have. Everything should be driving back to you. Otherwise, what's the point?
Exactly. So you've hit on so many different points that I want to unpackage and talk about for sure. So yes, 1,500 to 2,000 words is a good sweet spot, but anything over 3,000 words has a higher probability of being shared. People want longer articles, and they are more likely to pass them along when they feel that they're of more substance. So shoot for that 3,000 word mark, because you want more people to see your message, your content. You want more people to receive value. So if people are sharing your content on their platforms, all the better. It's, again, driving organic traffic. Yes, links to other articles will help you rank more in Google. Google is really driven by SEO. It's driven by keywords. I think, what is it? There's a statistic, something like 84% of Google is about keywords. And so Google wants to know that you are an expert in your field, that you are relevant. And so consistency creates credibility. The more you blog, the better quality of your blog posts, with keywords, with the SEO optimization, Google's going to recognize you as being relevant, as being someone who's providing value, and Google will rank you higher because of it. There are mechanics, but when we get down to keyword optimization, you only want to use 1 or 2 per blog post, but you want to make sure that you're using it intelligently. So use long tail keywords. If your keyword is t-shirt, you want to say, be descriptive and maybe say a green long sleeve t-shirt. So if someone is actually looking for a long sleeve green t-shirt, your blog post is going to pop up because of those keywords in there. And you don't want to stuff. You don't want to do, t-shirt and then long sleeve t-shirt again and again and again, because Google will recognize that and it will see that you're trying to buck the system, and it will punish you because of it. So make sure you're being very smart about how you use your keywords again, and only use 1 or 2 throughout your blog post. And yes, keep your paragraphs to 100, 150 words per. Otherwise, you're just creating this long piece that looks like a run-on sentence that just is too much. It looks overwhelming. And when you break it up with visuals that help tie in the content, it gives you another way to learn about the information. And videos inside blogs are another helpful way to get your audience to connect with your content even more.
Another thing I just learned actually today was you can tag those photos you're putting in and it drives up the
Yes.
SEO. And I wasn't even doing that. You
Yes.
can absolutely tag the photos so that something they visually don't see, but actually is picked up in the background that draws more traffic to you.
Right. So that goes back to the mechanics of blogging, in that you want to use keywords on your pictures and on your graphics, and in the back end you can add different keywords as well that will help Google recognize your blog based on the content, based on the keywords used. The more SEO you can add to your blog post, the better. And there are a lot of tools out there that will help optimize it for you with, color codes, and it'll tell you whether you're doing a good job or a bad job in your keyword optimization and your SEO. So there are a lot of tools that will help to enhance your blog and really make it rank higher.
I love that. So if we are blogging, what is like an easy way to get started? So I've never blogged. I've written some little teeny articles, but I really never put out blogs. And if I do, how do I start? Like, what do I start writing about?
I would start with a question that you seem to get over and over again from your audience, from clients even. What's one pain point that seems to pop up again and again? And address that question, address that pain point, and pretend like you're having a conversation with your audience, because really you are. It's just in a different medium. So address that question and answer it and resolve that pain point for your audience. And that's just a great way to start, because it's a comfortable place. So don't overthink it. Think about how did I solve this for somebody in person as a client, and how would I translate that into a blog post? You already have the information in your head. You just need to get it down on paper.
Well, let me tell you what that does for you. One, you're going to get that question over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easy for you to say, oh my goodness, I just wrote a blog on that. It's going to answer all your questions, and send them to that blog instead of answering that question over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And 2, it really defines you and makes you stand out as a leader, that go-to person in your field. And so the more you blog, the better. So once you start blogging, what do you do with those blogs? Do you just post them to your site?
Well, that's where you want to start for sure. And I think you mentioned that earlier, that you always want everything to lead back to you. So you always want to own your own content. You want it to live on your website. That's where everybody should start, and that's where everyone should end up. But you also want to repurpose that content across different platforms to reach a broader audience, to reach a different audience. Always start with your unique content on your blog, on your website, in your blog post area, and then take that content and either repurpose it a little bit with different images, or maybe change the first paragraph so that Google recognizes that it is a little different, but knows that you're putting it somewhere else, and then start repurposing it. Use it, use a quote as a Facebook post. Pull some pieces out for an Instagram post. Put it on Pinterest. Put it on Medium. Put it everywhere, but always make sure that the call to action brings them back to you.
And by the way, I feel like you definitely need to put it on multiple sites. Here's why. When I first started blogging, I was putting my heart and soul into it. I had the same loyal 20 readers every blog, right? And because that was my extended reach on my website. But once I started putting it elsewhere on other sites and getting, a guest spot here and a guest spot there, I started extending my reach to their extended reach. And it really started drawing back clientele to me. And don't poo-poo on Pinterest, by the way. I just started posting blogs maybe 3 months ago on Pinterest, and they are now getting anywhere between 3,000 and 20,000 hits because I've found my sweet spot of tagging them and putting that content out there. So if you think about if you had 3,000 hits on the low side and you were able to bring in 1% or even less than 1% of that every time you did a blog, that would blow up your business.
Oh, right. The ROI on blogging is incredible. And it's something like you get 6 times more leads from one blog versus general marketing. And blogging and content marketing, if you will, is like 62% less expensive than regular marketing. So it's just crazy to think about how easy and cost effective blogging is. It's putting words on a page, it's putting yourself out there, but the ROI is so much better because you're making these connections. You're allowing your audience to really get to know you. And people do business with people they know, like, and trust, and companies they know, like, and trust. And I saw a different statistic that said 80% of consumers would rather learn about a company through organic content, so blog posts. They want to learn about the products and the services before they dive in and hand over their money. And a blog really allows them to do that. You're not trying to sell them anything. You're not advertising anything. You're educating them. So you're giving them a different perspective into how you do business, and you're allowing them to really connect with you on a different level that feels more natural.
So I'm a huge believer that everything you have or need to become successful, you really have inside of you. And one of those powerful things is your story and your ability to share that with the world. And when you start creating that in blogs and putting that message out, it's like showing the world I'm a real human being and I've been through real things, right? Just like you, and really connecting with them in a super authentic way. And it makes them comfortable with you, starts building that rapport.
Absolutely. You pulled the words right out of my mouth. Yes, you're building that rapport. It's that know, like, and trust. You're relatable to your audience. And it's like the blog post I wrote about where you're opening up your kimono. You're allowing that vulnerability to show through. You're allowing people to see the real you. You're not saying, I'm here to solve all of your problems and I've never experienced them before. You're saying, this is what I went through, so I've been where you are. It's experiential. I can relate to what you're going through. I can help you get through this successfully. And this is how we're going to do it, but I've been there. So yes, you have such a unique story that needs to be told. And it just really draws people in, and it makes them feel much more comfortable doing business with you.
So one of the blogs I wrote was about exposing yourself in public to draw in business, right? How to make a it was called How to Get to a Seven-Figure Business by Exposing Yourself to the World, right?
Yeah.
And all the pictures were a girl holding up signs in front of her nude body, but you couldn't see anything. But I got so much engagement from that because they thought it was humorous. They were right. And a lot of people are like, oh, people won't understand this. Here's the thing they do. They understand like real life. They know you're not perfect. And when you try to pretend that you are and everything's always fine, you become not authentic and they will notice that.
You're right. You are so right. People love humor. People love when you're not packaging up everything in a pretty Tiffany's box. People want to know the real you so that they can feel comfortable when they're coming to you with their issues. They don't want someone who's hiding behind a facade. Otherwise, they'll never open up to you. So they appreciated the humor in it. They saw what you were trying to say and they understood it. And that made you more relatable to them. So bravo, that's awesome. That's awesome. And to the people who poo-pooed it, they're not your audience. Those aren't the people you were trying to reach. You reached those you wanted to and you did it effectively. And visuals are such a great way to do that.
So another thing is like, let's give them some tips. So
Yeah.
if you are writing a blog, you can't, this is going to sound very funny, but you can't just throw a title on it.
No, gosh, no.
And
You can start with one. You can start with one as a little inspiration.
Right. It's a starting point, right?
Yeah.
But there are tricks, right? Why don't you tell us how we can find some of those easy tricks to help boost our blogs and get more exposure?
So 8 out of 10 people read your title first. And only 2 out of those 10 people are going to read your blog post. So you want to make sure your title has a punch, that it's catchy, that it draws them in. And there are plenty of tools out there that will help you create a title that is engaging, that will get people to read your blog post. Now you only want your, you want your title to be pretty short. You only want it to be between 6 and 10 words, 10 being the very max. I like to keep it about 6. Numbers are a great way to get people to read your blog post. 3 ways to do this, or 5 ways to find happiness. Numbers really draw people in because they know what they're getting. They know they don't have to expend too much energy. You're going to list out those 5 tips. They're going to be on their way, educated, of value. They're going to feel satisfied. You also want to make sure that you're, playing with Google a little too. So if you use a hyphen or a colon in your title, Google's going to recognize it and rank it a little higher. Now, these are just little tips that we don't know why the algorithm recognizes it, but they do. So keep your title nice and short. Make it emotional if you can. Make it engaging. Make it something that someone's really going to want to click on, so that they know they're getting some value out of it.
I love that. And it's actually kind of fun. I always grab 5 titles for the same article, because you can put that same article by repurposing it using those 5 different titles. And by the way, that tells you who your target market is and where they're coming from when you see them gravitating towards one thing more than another. So I'm always looking to see what my clients are hungry for and make sure that that's what I'm serving.
That's a great tip. I've never thought of that before. I've heard of companies who write 25 titles before they pick one, because they say that, you finally find your sweet spot when you get to maybe number 20 or number 22. But you definitely want to give a lot of time to your title. In fact, there was statistics I saw that you want to spend 60% of the time on your title, whereas 40% on the creating of the content. And that is so true. You really want to make sure that your title is something that will, like you said, resonate with your audience, and that's what they're searching for. But I love that you come up with 5 so that you can use them across platforms. That's genius.
And I'm sort of OCD. So when I start looking through them through the SEO search, They say 65 or above is really good if you get to 65. I never settled for anything under like 84, 85%.
I love that.
And so I find 5 titles that are matched to that. And then I put them in a little Google file and I repurpose those so that I can post them on multiple sites and extend my reach globally. Plus they all ping back to my website. So what does that do? Brings tons of traffic to my website.
Yep, that's genius. I love that.
So it's a great way to build your business. By the way, this is evergreen. So for those of you who are like, I'm not a writer, I could probably put out a few good, and then I repurpose those. If I put out 12 a year, 1 a month, and I repurposed each one of those 5 times, what is that, 60 blogs, something like that? That's 60 blogs a year you're putting out. It's unheard of, right? And all you did was write 12 and put them out on multiple platforms. And if you do, like you had suggested earlier, you write find content that's very relevant and moving that you can use all the time. Like I try to do seasonal, and I have a winter, a summer, a spring, a fall file, and I can just pull some of those out from spring and, oh, this is obviously still relevant. Facelift and out it goes.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of times your content does need a facelift. Say you wrote something last year or 2 years ago and it is still relevant, but you can add substance to it. You can give it some more context. You can fill in the gaps of information, because that's what you really want to do. Somebody's already written about your content. Someone's written about your topic. It's out there. Write it better. Fill in the gaps of information. Beef up whatever is out there. Make it so much better with your unique perspective, your knowledge, how you approach it. Just really make it better so that it resonates much more effectively with your audience.
The great thing is there is no other you in this world. You are unique and beautiful. And what you bring to that same plate is going to be amazing. So for instance, my husband and I cook, and we cook the same thing. I guarantee you that he'll get more compliments, and I could follow his recipe to a T. And it's totally different because he's just better at that. But there are other things I'm much better at. But like setting the table, he could not do that. So definitely add your uniqueness to it. And remember, people opt into your business for a feeling that they're going to get, a problem you're solving for them, or a cause they can get behind. So remember that when you're putting that out into the world.
And you know, I think a lot of times blogs get a bad rap. I think when people think about a blog, they think about people talking about their pets, talking about their kids, and just kind of writing something so they have a place for family to visit, maybe an extension of Facebook. Blogs are powerful when it comes to your business, and some of the most successful people in the world use them. And it's such a great way to engage your audience and really engender that authenticity and really show your true self, like you said, with your story, and just really let people into your world. It's very powerful. And I think people miss out on that when they think about a blog, and then they just tend not to use it for their business.
Well, when I work with people who want to become more influencers, they want to become global influencers and get their message out in the world, the number one thing I pound into their heads and hearts is you have to blog, you have to educate, you have to stand out and be seen as that expert in the field. And blogging is one of those. And I know that you have, and I don't know that it's ready yet, but I'm sure by the time this goes live, it will be ready. But I know that you have a blogging course that I send a lot of clients to you for, that is amazing. So you want to tell a little bit about what that blogging course might entail?
Yes. So my blogging course will be it is not ready. I'm revamping my blog course, if you will. It was a 5-week live course, but I think that it's more effective when people can do it at their own pace. So I will be setting up modules where I will walk everybody through and teach them how to blog. We will talk about the mindset first, because that is one of the most important pieces. If you don't have the proper mindset, you're not going to be able to blog effectively for your audience. We will talk about how to blog. We will talk about, meeting your audience where they read, what you want to write about, finding topics to write about, and how to do that. We'll also get into the mechanics of blogging, SEO, keyword optimization, and why it's important. And whether or not you sub it out, I think it's still important that you know how to do it on your own, because you can be just that much more effective when you do write your piece. And then we will talk about publishing. We will talk about content calendars and repurposing your content effectively. So in the end, you will have a new perspective on blogging, along with all the tools and know how to do it effectively for your business, to grow your business organically, drive profits, and really drive traffic to your business.
Seriously, if you want to take your business to the next level in 2021, give the gift of education. And as you're giving that beautiful gift of education, what you don't even see that's going on is you're building brand awareness, you're building rapport with those clients, and you're that go-to person for them.
Mm-hmm.
So blogging is so important. Like I can't, well, how many times have you ever seen me on my podcast bring somebody on for a series teaching about something? This is the first time ever, because I feel that it is so important for you to get your words out into the world and start introducing yourself and how you educate and what you do through education and blogs. So I thought it was so important. And I asked Rhonda, will you please come on and do this? Because I also know this is her field of genius, right? This is what she does. And I've seen her work with other people. I've read some of the books that she's helped with, and they are phenomenal. And so I wanted to bring you guys the best.
I'm so happy to be able to speak to your audience and really educate them on the power of content. Blogging just being a singular part of that content. And it's an impactful part. And I think people really should adopt it when it comes to creating marketing material around their business, or just really getting the voice of their brand out into the world.
I love it. So we're going to do several series that Rhonda will come on and we'll speak for, 30 minutes talking about how to up your game, your brand, your business, and start driving traffic to you.
Yeah.
Making a really direct lane, instead of all these twisty turns, is like, here's a highway to me. And so we want to help you do that through getting out your personal message. So Rhonda, thank you so much for being on this show.
Thank you.